I did it wrong again. But it's alright. What's up, YouTube? Are we good? Yep, my live chat's right there. We're good. You can see everything. Yep. All right, so we're making a 4-channel plug-and-play amp for a TSX. And then after that, we got to make a 5-channel amp. We got a little bit bouncing around to do just to make sure we send the right stuff with the right people. We got our 2 harnesses. This is actually the wrong harness. This is the right harness. Sorry, I am late. Also, we're going with the vertical stream again today. Afternoon spark. Just this vertical stream gets more. Hold on, did I monetization's off? Okay, yeah, I don't want to do monetization today. I didn't like that it was like putting people behind the current stream. So like I would ask a question and then you wouldn't be up to the current view because you'd be behind because of the ads, and then that was very annoying. All right, so we're doing this amp. It's a 4-channel plug-and-play amp for your Acura TSX. If you need the full explanation of the amp, go to the product page and read all that info. I'll summarize. It bridges your 8 channels into 4 channels, and then that is how it powers everything. So you got to replace your tweeters or protect your tweeters, otherwise you're going to fry them up. And then you're going to get to see me make one right now. I'm actually going to move this camera a little bit further down so you can see. Ignore my messy drawer here. It's where all the pieces of stuff end up. I need to get a higher chair. That's something I'm going to work on this weekend. Get a used higher chair just because I'm too low. So my shoulders have started hurting from me being so low. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure my audio didn't cut out. No, I'm good. All right. My audio might be too low today. Hold on. Let's see. Let me max it out. Okay, so that's fully maxed out. So it looks like it's good. I'm in the green. I'm not getting in the yellow. Okay. Got the chat open. All right, cool. So first step, always heat shrink, so you don't forget it. Very easy to forget once you start soldering, and then boom. Look, the worst thing is you forget the heat shrink, you then solder. There's no heat shrink. Both these connectors are very annoying to unpin, so the unpinning solution isn't there. So then you would have to cut and resolder. Cutting and resoldering means that one set of wires is too short compared to all the others, and you just open the can of worms. So that's the worst. You definitely don't want to forget the sleeving. So right here, what you're seeing me do is slide the labels down so that when I apply heat, I don't cook them, and then twisting these wires together. So I'm twisting my tweeters and my woofers for my front door together, and then I'm going to do that for the rear deck and rear doors. So I have a total of 16 wires, which is 8 pairs, and I make the 8 pairs into 4 pairs by doing this, and then I'm able to match up the 4 pairs to those 4 pairs. So in the easiest of easiest ways, I'm twisting all the same colors together. So both of these are white, I twist them together. Both of these are gray, I twist them together. Both of these are gray-black, I twist them together, and it just repeats. All right, cool. So I had UPS lose 2 packages on me. It sucks, bro. It sucks. Because you have to remake the order. So like, how do I explain it? Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly. So you order something, you paid for it. Now, I guess they're gonna pay for it again, so it's not wasted. It just feels like it's my time wasted because I made that order, I put my effort and time into it, and then it got lost. So then I have to do it again. So yeah, I am getting paid to do it again because the claim will reimburse what you paid. Um, I don't know. It just doesn't feel that way. It feels like it was wasted. You see me double checking it because I'm looking at the labels, make sure I didn't grab the wrong color. It's easy to end up grabbing a positive and a negative. And if you twist a positive and a negative together, you will short the output of the amp. And that's going to put it in protect. What's up, YouTube? Welcome, welcome. If you have a question about your Acura, feel free to ask. You just might have to wait a little bit to get an answer. I will answer it, just it might take a little bit of time, so be patient. You can come back, or you could just stick tuned, and when I get there, I'll get there. Right now, I am working on a Acura TSX amplifier. Someone actually bought a complete upgrade for the Acura TSX, which I will show you their order. They bought a backup camera too, which means they must have a radio already. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's grab this, grab that, and grab this. All right. So before I put the heat shrink on these three, I have one more piece. Yeah, cool. Well, on the blue, doesn't matter. On the blue, it could stay this. I don't have to open it up. And this is a little trick. So if you ever are doing heat shrink on two wires that are two separate sizes, you could take this and open it up a little. So if you take your flush cutter or something like tweezers, you can come in here and push against so that that opens up like that. It's like pushing against it. And just that will help enough so that it could slide over the thicker wire, and then you'll twist it on like if it had threads, and that's usually enough to get it around thicker wire. It can't be too thick. It has to be within like a, has to make sense. I don't know how to explain it to you. Like this is 16 gauge wire and this is 14 gauge wire. So like if you're only going up 2 gauges, which is more like, this trick will work for that. But if it was like 16 to 10 gauge, then you're just going to need thicker heat shrink. It's not going to work. It's your little tip of the day. Okay. All right. So now we can strip the wire. This has ends that are pre-cut. That's too short. So I just end up stripping a little bit more every time. It just makes twisting the wire together easier, because if you try to twist with that little bit of wire, twist the metal strands together, it makes it more annoying. They don't want to stay together. So by just stripping a little bit more, it's already stripped, just makes it easier. I can't believe this guy's still holding on. I shouldn't have said that because I probably jinxed myself, but this thing's about to break. I have my new one ready to go. I just don't want to change till this is actually broken. All right, so now we are connecting our rear output. Well, not our rear output. So all this stuff follows traditional wire colors. So like in car audio, a pair of whites with white and white black are going to be your front left speaker. A gray and a gray black are going to be positive and negative for your front right speaker. And then a green and green black are going to be your rear left. And a purple and purple black are going to be your rear right. So think of it like all 4 doors. This covers all 4 doors. So our front output in our TSX is going to power our tweeter and our woofer. So that's what I was saying. We're twisting the same colors together. Ultimately, that's really what it boils down to. So we twisted we had 2 whites on this side. We twisted both whites together. We have 1 white on this side. We're going to twist that 1 white. Just make sure you use white to white and not white black to white and screw it up. And this means that channel 1 out of this amplifier will power both the tweeter and the woofer. They're both getting a signal that's crossed over around 80 hertz. Your tweeter needs a higher crossover from the factory. It has a crossover at the amp, so it has no protection. So you need to do something with that. You need to either add a bass blocker in line with the positive input of the tweeter, or just change the tweeter overall, or just change your speakers overall. It will not matter. Oh, no, sir. All right, so someone in the chat said, need some advice. I bought an aftermarket stereo, but the harness doesn't go all the way in. So once I'm using it, you can hear static. What would you recommend me to do? What is your order number? We'll get you the right harness. I don't know. I need a little bit more detail to know exactly what's going on, but if you give me your order number, I can go look it up and see what would be your best path. But we'll obviously help you and figure out what harness we need to get you. If it's something you didn't buy from us, then I still need more details as to which radio we're talking about. But I'm assuming you bought it from us. Okay. All right. What was it? What was it and what Acura is it for? All right. So we're just going down the line, guys. If you're watching this harness, you saw me twist the grays together, the greens together, purples together. I've done this enough where like I just can look to make sure, though. I always double check myself. Okay. Yep. Especially on the purples. That's the one that will always get me. I don't know if it's my eyesight or what, but purple and purple black will get you. Okay. So now all of these are twisted together. I'm just going to solder them real quick. We don't need a ton of solder. When you solder these together, you don't want to make it so that it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they're going to turn rock hard if you use too much solder. You still want some flexibility. So like you see, this wire is very flexible. When you add solder, it hardens up. When you add too much solder, it hardens up too much and it loses all flexibility. And you're not going to be bending these wires in half, but the flexibility helps when you go to install, just if you're trying to tuck wires away. So you just want to watch that. So you see I'm putting just a little bit on the first one. Got a little bit more than I'd like, but it just needs to penetrate all the way through. You see I am leaving these globs behind. It's just the quality of the solder that I have isn't like top tier. It does the job, but there's better solder out there that will penetrate better. But for what we need it for, this will work just fine. You just, again, don't want to sit here and soak it so that it loses all flexibility. All the solder is for is to secure the metal strands together so that they can't come apart. So if for whatever reason this, I don't picture someone sitting here and trying to pull this apart, but what can happen though is during installation, one of these wires will get caught somewhere and you're trying to pull, and as you're trying to pull, it'll pull them apart. So the solder will melt or create a permanent bond between the metal strands, so that can't happen. And then because we have exposed metal, this can create problems if they touch each other because power is running through here. Sound is actually AC power that moves your speakers back and forth. So that AC power can go up to like 10 VRMS, 10 volts. I forget what that stands for. But anyways, you don't want these touching each other at the end of the day. So that's where the heat shrink comes in. And it's just to cover that exposed metal. And then we apply heat to the heat shrink so that it doesn't move. Because right now you can see I can easily slide it back and forth. Once we apply heat, it wraps more tightly around the wires. Okay, so for a base model, but this is the screen that goes on the top. Hold on, let me Google that real quick. Give me 1 second. Can I copy message? Pin message? Remove pin? No, I just want to copy the message. There you go. Okay. Damn. I feel really bad, but I had to cancel this guy's order on eBay because it was over a week and he would not answer me. And I was like, hey, I need the answer so I can ship your order. And then eBay was going to eventually ding me for not um, doing it. Oh, look, Navix launched a new video. For what? They have their own screen?
Next thing is going to be this wooden trim panel.
Or to add CarPlay to the factory screen? I'm very confused.
It's to both units, and that's how both the devices share information.
Okay, okay.
And then the top.
Yep, so they're, all right, so let me go me and computer. Oh, hold on, I don't have the other tab. All right, hold on. 1 second, I'm just getting it open. Come on. Where the hell did that tab go? Oh, no, no, why'd you do that to me? Hold on, my thing is being done right now. All right, we got to start minimizing windows because this wants to be silly right now. Is that my wife? No, okay. All right, this thing's being dumb. I don't have an Apple keyboard, so you're going to have to bear with me as I try to figure out which key will bring up. Oh, no, what the hell? It's not going to. All right, we just got to start minimizing stuff. Or anyone know how in a... All right, my OBS window is hiding a window from me. Docs? No. How I could get it to come. No, it's not coming out either. Okay, all right, I'm just going to have to do the old school delete and re-add. So delete. Oh, wait, no, there's settings panel right here. Yeah, it keeps doing the same thing, though. All right, can I delete it? No. This is retarded. I'm so sorry, guys. I just, I'm not a streamer, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Okay. All right, so now I can add a new one. There it is. There it is. Finally came up. Let's go. So dumb. Okay, so I'm going to do window capture, and we want to do, this is a Google search. Okay. All right. Where the hell is it? Why didn't it add it? What the freak? Bro, what is going on? No, this thing's lagging. No, it just doesn't want to do it. I'm really sorry, YouTube. I'm really trying here. It's just, for some weird reason, it doesn't want to show the computer. I'm trying to get the computer to show, and there's nothing I can do about it. No. Can I add it to this? No, I can't. What if we close this panel? Okay, and then we open it back up. Just bear with me, bear with me. I'll get this working. I'll get this working. Vertical. No, I'm not gonna get it working. It doesn't want to work. I don't understand. It's so frustrating. Okay. All right, let's start minimizing stuff. It's picking up that that window is there, but it's not showing it here. All right, well, I was trying to show you the screen so we can talk about what doesn't fit. Hello, hello. It's for a 2009 Acura MDX. So you got the 9-inch Android screen that goes on the top. You try to adapt it to a base model. Which connector doesn't fit? That's what I was trying to get at, but I can't seem to get this thing to respond to the command to let me add something. What if we go here? Yeah, just adding just isn't working. Okay, hold on. This might work. Computer. And then, no. OBS just being stupid. Yeah, OBS is being dumb, bro. Come on, OBS. I don't understand what's going on. Yes. Me and computer. All right, let's just minimize. I can't even minimize this. And close that. And close that. Close that. Minimize that. Close this. Minimize this. All right, so literally, OBS, you have no excuse because everything else is closed. Nope, still doesn't want to work. It's just lagging like crazy. What the hell is this? Oh, I don't even know what I just did. All right, YouTube, hold on. I'm going to restart OBS. I know the stream's probably going to die. I'll be right back. Okay, hopefully I'm still live. But now it looks like it's going to work. Yes, it looks like it's working now. Where's Google Chrome? Yes, it looks like I'm still alive. Let's go. We lost some viewers, but that's all right. We will be finally working. Okay, I closed the tab, so let's open a new tab, and then let's go save. Okay. No, we want. Oh, okay. This is what we want to edit. All right. Let's go YouTube. Oh crap! It went to the wrong tab. Okay. All right, YouTube. Finally, I fixed it. Oh wait, let me bring myself over it. There we go. Let's go. It took forever, but we figured it out. All right, let's copy what the guy said. Now we can go look at it. All right, so this is what you bought. I'm just gonna wait for you to answer. Let me go back to the live chat. So if that's what you bought, let me know. Oh, it's nice and black. Okay, yeah. All right, we're back. Okay. Hold on, because I spent some time on that. All right. I just need to heat these up. All right, so this comes with like 4 connectors. So you're saying the one that goes into the actual back of the screen does not fit? I need to make sure I set that up next time, ahead of time. So the harness from the car does not fit the harness for the aftermarket radio. Okay. All right, just so we're clear. Just so we're clear, you're saying that the harness that goes into this thing, oh, hold on, let me just switch to the go-to. The harness that plugs into here doesn't fit correctly is what you're saying? Damn, I'm sorry, car. Okay. Let me put my cameras back up. I don't like not being able to see what's going on. If that harness does not fit, usually it's just a little bit of wiggle stuff. Like you just got to wiggle it around better. They're all the same plug. You might have to reseat, like unplug it, reseat it. I'm sure you've tried a bunch of times. Sometimes you have to push really hard and it feels like you're going to break it. Okay. So that's what I figured. Then pins are bent. So I'll show you. Do I have one here? Okay, yeah. Here I have some right here. So this isn't necessarily the one for the car, right? But if you look inside of there, there are pins. And if you look this way, there are pins inside the harness. These little metal tabs are referred to as pins. Hold on, I'm trying to touch one. Sometimes they'll be angled up or down, or they'll get squished or turned to the side. When that happens, the connector will appear to close, but not fully sit in. So one pin somewhere is bent up, down, to the side or something, and it's not sitting in there correctly. That's pretty common. That happens with our harnesses sometimes. There are harnesses that don't have many pins in them, and that's usually what it happens with. So like most of these have all the pins in them. Try to see if I find you one on my table that doesn't have all the pins in it. Yeah. I don't have one in front of me, but usually that's what happens. Most of the harnesses, the pins will just bend out a little bit of the way, or if they're aftermarket connectors, not like the genuine part, that because they duplicate them, they'll just be off just a little bit. So it's just some massage game. But the first thing is to make sure none of the pins are bent. The second thing is when you're inserting the connectors into each other, you're playing this game. You're going like this till they finally get tight. You should hear an audible click. It shouldn't just be forced when you're plugging it in. Also, for some reason, people won't notice that connectors are different. So like these you could see are clearly different, right? This is big, this is small. But there's another one that's going to look like this one where the pins inside aren't offset. I can't really show you that on camera, but the pins inside of here are offset to the right a little bit. There's other connector that will look like this, but the pins will all be straight. You won't notice that right away, and that will screw it up as well. You'll just kind of try to jam it and force it in. So first things first, look in the inside, make sure none of the pins are bent. When you go to reconnect, massage it together. And if you're still having issues, it could just be a I really doubt it though, because they're ABS plastic, so they're just from plastic molds. So I doubt that's the issue, but you could just have gotten a faulty mold, not a faulty mold, but like when yours was made, they didn't QC it correctly, and it shouldn't have passed quality testing, and it did, and you just got unlucky. Got my little mountain of solder going on over there. So right now we're working on an Acura TSX amp. So here's the actual amplifier. So if you have an Acura, this is the 4-channel amp we carry. I actually was looking at a higher power option. So there's different people have different Acuras, obviously, and they have different obstacles. So JBL introduced this guy, which is a very dense little amp, a good price point. It's a 4-channel amp. Actually, I'm not going to open it. I'll take care of that later. I don't want to open that can of worms, but basically, this is plug and play. I'm looking at this because this one's 125 by 4 at 2 ohms, but this has 40 amps of fusing and takes 8 gauge power. This only takes 12 gauge or 14 gauge power wire. Hold on, my wife's calling. One sec. Let me mute my mic. But all right, sorry about that. So yeah, Brandon, I think that's what it is. Um, you'll have to double check, obviously, though. And then for the amp, I was talking about the amp. This one's fully plug and play. This is the connection that plugs into the car. This plugs into the amp. This is the other connection that plugs into the amp. We have a whole video on how to install it. This is how it's made. You saw me connect all the wires. And now I need to add all the zip ties. So I've mentioned before on stream, this, while it is finished and it will work, it does look very crazy. It just looks like a mess of wires. So I add zip ties to help protect the wire and also to improve the presentation of the product. So it looks orderly, it looks finished. That matters a lot. Something I learned in selling stuff is that the way it functions matters more. So people still use it even if it looks crazy. But if you want to make the best impression, you want to make sure the product looks right and works correctly. So that's what these zip ties are for. It just makes it look more complete, like I'm giving you something that's finished. They also have a functional use to ensure that if you pull on this one wire here, if I go to yank it out when it's zip tied and that one wire gets pulled on, the zip tie will help distribute that force to the other wires and hopefully save you from you yanking it out. Someone asked, what amp do you carry with the most output? We don't really have a lot of high power amps. I would say the Audison amps are the highest output. So I am hoping to start carrying higher end amps, but I'll share my dilemma with you guys and you tell me what you think. All right, so there are cheap amps that make high power. They're usually either Korean or Brazilian technology where they're splitting half the rails, or I forget exactly how it is, but something with the power rails, you don't have a negative and positive, it's like double positive. But anyways, there's different technology to power your amps. They sound different. There's Class D amps, Class A amps, Class AB amps, which are most popular for sound quality. Then there's like Class H amps. Infinity has a Class H amp. There are different amplifier classes. There are different kinds of amplifiers, and they make a lot of power in different ways. Some ways is relatively cheap. Other ways they're a little bit more expensive. The reason why I bring that up is because we don't carry any high power amplifiers currently, because the high power amplifier world is all about cheap power, and cheap power isn't really related to factory integration. So like factory integration, I'm not going to say it's perfect. Like your factory system isn't perfect by any means, but they do optimize it very well for the amount of current they're going to draw. So usually they give you 20 amps, and out of those 20 amps, they try to get the most they can out of the amplifier. So like picture 20 amps of current powering 8 individual drivers, and like the system sounds good from the factory. I know some of you may disagree, but like it's decent enough. It gets loud enough when it's working correctly. So when you shift to the high power talk, people were like, oh, I want 3,000 watts. I want 5,000 watts. Well, then you need 300 amps of current. And your standard Acura, if it's not an SUV, even the SUVs don't have 300 amp alternators. Shit. The freaking, your ILX has like 110 amp alternator. You're not going to make power with that. You need bigger, more, either bigger alternator, big 3 upgrade, more batteries, etc. So for the factory integration, which is kind of all our stuff is, it doesn't make sense to carry a lot of high power amplifiers. But as we now move into newer cars, so like let's say we're now starting to support up to 2020 in some cars, we've gotten people who are like, hey, I have a TLX, a 2018 TLX, and I want it to be louder. I have a 2015 ILX, I want it to be louder. I have a 2020 MDX, I want it to be louder. And now you have to make the distinction. Do you want loud and cheap? Do you want easier install? Do you want better integration? What exactly are you looking for? And then the people who are coming to be able to afford these cars are usually a little bit older. So they do have some background with audio. So we find ourselves in this weird middle ground where like the people who want to make their cars louder want to kind of do it on the cheapest way possible or how they used to do it and not really spend the money in the newest stuff. And I'll give you a perfect example right now. So let me pull up uh, the computer, right? So the computer, let me go here, and we'll go like with a SCAR 4-channel amp. So SCAR Audio 4-channel amp, here it is. Let me zoom out so you guys can see more of the window. All right, so here's a nice 4-channel amp. It's only $152, and how much power does it make? Specifications. It's going to do 100 watts by 4 at 4 ohms. So 100 watts by 4 at 4 ohms. So that's pretty good. 100 watts, like there's nothing wrong with that. All right, but this amplifier has high pass and low pass filters. So you're going to just amplify your doors, and then your TLX, your tweeters and your woofers are separate. So this amp's going to power just your tweeters and your woofers. They're like, oh, no, I'm going to put the woofers and the tweeters together. Okay, how are you going to protect the tweeters? Oh, I'm going to do aftermarket speakers, and I'm going to put this just for the front and rear. And that works perfectly fine. That can work. That's a very simple, easy upgrade. You can follow old school rules and regulations. You go high level straight into the amp. You turn on the crossover. You set the gain. It's coming out of the factory amplifier. Very simple, easy setup. You change those 4-door speakers. You're good. That's rarely the case that people want. They're like, hey, I want an amplifier for the whole car. I want to do the whole system. So then this 4-channel amp that you thought would work isn't going to work. So you can grab 2 of these and kind of make it work. But now you have to address with what are you doing with the tweeters again? Are those going to be separate? Are they going to be together with the front speakers? Your rear door speakers are 3.5s. How do you want to handle that? Are you going to amp those? 100 watts is going to be too much for that. So you're going to turn down the gain, or are you going to go fully active now? So then it starts raising more questions, more integration questions. Which are you going to leave the center speaker not amplified? Are you going to keep the factory amplifier powering any speaker? Are you going to use all the output of every single channel? Do you want to then have a certain sound? Are you just going louder, or do you want a certain sound? Because the factory system is tuned a certain way. It's coming out of the output of the amplifier. You can only correct that output so much without more integration parts. So then the conversation just gets longer and longer, more and more complicated. So to simplify the conversation, I'm like, hey, there are better choices. So you're putting together pieces of cheaper equipment. So you're going to grab 2 4-channel amps, a line out converter, then you're going to get a battery and a battery isolator. You're going to get power distribution. Like, you're going to do a full, more complex install that's just going to take more time ultimately. The configuration is simpler, easy to follow, but it just takes more time, and it may not result in the goal that you want because a certain sound may not get to what you want. So the middle ground is just, instead of a line out converter, you use the DSP. But then you can go one step further and just use amps that are designed to be more versatile. And that's what I hope to introduce, but it's just hard to get people to understand the value. So we'll go over to Audison. And Audison has a very good choice of amplifiers that have DSPs built in. So I'm going to bring you over to DSP amps. Oh, hold on, I hit the wrong thing. And then we're going to scroll down, and you'll see that these things have terrible names. But this amp right here is a 12 by 90 watts at 2 ohms. This next amp here is 8 by 140 watts at 2 ohms. And then if we go further down, we have 8 by 100, 7, and then this is 4 by 150. So you're like, why is this guy still talking? What is he rambling about? Basically, what I'm trying to get at is that these amplifiers have built-in DSPs, do a ton of power, clean power, and they require way less power consumption. So if you see this amp doesn't take 300 amps of current. It takes 55 amps at peak musical a Max Musical. So it's very efficient, very clean power. All of your integration is in one place. You're like, what the hell does that even mean? So this has a line out converter or a DSP built in. It takes high level in. It can sum channels together. It can adjust your crossovers. Your other amps can do that. But basically what I'm trying to tell you is this package is a lot better for your car to help integrate everything into one and make the installation a lot more simple. So picture just a footprint of 2 amps, additional battery, a battery isolator, and power distribution. You're going to need a pretty big amp rack. You're going to need some space to fit that all in. Now you shrink that down. You don't need 2 amplifiers. This amplifier you can bridge creatively to get exactly the output that you want. So it's 8 channels. You can take channel 1 and 2, send that to your tweeters, 3 and 4 to your woofers, 5 and 6 to your rear deck, 7 and 8 for your sub. Leave the rear doors in the center on the factory amp. Or you can reconfigure in the amplify all the doors, leave 1 channel for the sub. There's a lot of, you can go the whole system. There's a lot of configuration here. The other thing is very efficient when it comes to power. You may not need that 300 amp alternator. You may not need that secondary battery depending on your configuration. You might be good with just a 4 gauge run straight to the battery, and that might be enough. So this whole rant, or what I'm trying to tell you, is that there are better options for your car, and we want to start selling them. But without this long conversation to help you understand how this saves you money or time, people don't want to hear it. They're used to their old school method. They now had a system in their car when they're 18, 19, 20. They've had their time. They've had normal cars. Now they want to build a system again. They're in their newer car. 10, 20 years have passed. They have a little bit more money, but they haven't stayed current with the audio scene. They don't know about all the newest features. They don't know about more efficient amplifiers. So they're still trying to do the install the old way, and you're just going to make your life more complicated that way. And I'm just trying to save you the time, because it's not really going to save you money in the long run, because the money you would spend in those amps and all the wire, everything, it's going to be around the same of what you would spend on this amplifier, because this amplifier is not cheap at all. This amplifier right here is pretty pricey. So if we look, oh, it's on sale right now, but it's still expensive. Normally, it's right around $2,000, but right now you can get one for $1,600. But yes, my whole rant is there are better options for you to use when it comes to car audio now, especially in your newer Acuras, and you really should consider them. And we want to start carrying them, but I can't go and make an investment of buying 10 of these amps at $1,000 each, because that's probably what the dealer cost is, and you'll make half. You make 50% or 30%, so they might be like $1,200 each. So I'll go out, spend $12,000 to buy amps so that I could starting to sell them, trying to make it happen. And now it's still, and then I can't sell them. Sorry, I got a message. And then I can't sell them because no one sees the value in them. And I'm like, great, I'm just have this. I need to now sell these. It's been 3 months, 6 months, 7 months. That happened with the JBL DSP amps. So the JBL DSP amps, not this amp, but I bought JBL DSP amps. I thought they would be a great solution for your Acura, because they could work vice versa. They could work as a preamp or a plug-and-play amp, but I just was not able to be enough of a salesman, or I don't know what you want to call it. I just wasn't able to convince people to buy them. And I hate being a salesperson. I hate having to be like, no, this is what you want. Trust me, this is what you want. This is the one you want. This is what you want. I'd rather let the stuff and the items speak for themselves, but we just never sold enough to have that sell itself, so to say. Because like this plug-and-play amp that I'm doing right now, I didn't sell it to this person. They didn't call me and ask me, hey, which is the best amp? Which should I get? Do you really think this is a good choice for my car? They saw this online. They watched the video. They read the reviews. They looked at the YouTube comments. Maybe they went on Facebook. They saw the reviews on Facebook. They saw the reviews on Accurazine. Like, the product speaks for itself. When, like, it's a good enough product with the feedback and information out there that it's just going to sell itself at this point. And that's what I was hoping the JBL amps would do, but we just never got there because we never sold enough of them. And they were so expensive to stock that I just wasn't able to pull it off. I still think they're a good, solid product. I just don't want that to happen with the DSP amps, and that's part of the reason why I've held back on that, just because making that huge investment. Oh, hold on, I didn't put this in here. Actually, I'm messing this up. I need to put all this in one bag. Making that huge investment is scary, and then if it doesn't work out, I'm fucked. I would be maybe out of business depending on how bad it goes or doesn't go. But all right, this is the amplifier bracket. If you've never seen the amp before, the factory amp mounts in the center console, so it has a built-in metal bracket. This is our ABS bracket. This gets 3D printed. These are the ears, the mounting ears. They just slide on like that. They lock into place. Your amplifier mounts here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this mounts it to the car and stays solid. This is the RCAs that plug into the amp. So we're going to throw everything in this one little baggie, excuse me, to make sure that the customer gets everything. I am going to put this back in here though. And then, sorry, I haven't read the chat. I'm going to read it right now. If you have a recommendation of a stereo that you might have with my rear view camera harsh rate, I wouldn't mind getting it for you. If you have a recommendation of a stereo that you might rear view camera. Oh, okay, I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying. Sorry, it took me a little bit to read it. Yeah, I think that's one of my longest rants ever. I apologize. It's just sometimes when I get going, I don't know how to get my message across easily. That could have been summarized by saying, hey, if you're thinking about adding a system to your car, just look into the new methods of installing instead of the old methods, and you'll save yourself a lot of time and possibly some money. Is really what it comes down to. Okay, so screws are in there, brackets in there. Let's throw this in here. What's up? Thank you, thank you. I would actually like to buy a wagon because the wagon has like a cult-like following, and I'd really like to make good content, like the subwoofer upgrade. I'd love to make that video. Just don't have one, and they're rare and expensive, man. Whoever has one doesn't want to sell it. It's like the only way you're getting one at a decent price or a decent deal is if that person doesn't, like, they just happen to have the car. So it's like, oh no, I'm not a wagon guy. It's just like, this was my grandma's car and they gave it to me, and then they'll sell it to you at a decent price. But anyone who knows about them, it doesn't want to sell their car or wants to sell it for a price you will not pay. But okay, let's make sure this person didn't order anything else before I screw that up. So this is Marco's. Why does it say 2 items? Okay. No, just the amp. Yes, sir, just the amp. Shout out to you. I want to rattle the rear view with clean power. So Sound Digital, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sound Digital. I think they're Brazilian as well. They're just more efficient amps. I mean, but efficiency doesn't matter. Just build a lithium bank. It's just, we're about factory integration. So factory integration means doing the most with the least without change. Like, you don't, like, I honestly went as far as buying fuse boxes. Buying an actual fuse, a used fuse box. Damn, all that stuff is not put away, so I can't show it to you. But I went as far as buying a used fuse box, like the actual fuse box in your car. I bought. Hold on, what is this gonna say? Okay. So I went as far as buying fuse boxes out of a TSX and a TL 09 to 13. The actual fuse box that's in your center that's below the driver. Yeah, I'm pointing at the car. You can't even see. All right, so here's an Acura TL, right? The actual fuse box that's under the driver near the gas pedal. I bought those fuse boxes so I could personally examine what power lines come from where, what gauge wire, what is still live, what is still hot, what's not hot, what extra pins, where I can plug in connectors. And I did figure out a way for you not to have to run wire to the firewall, to just plug in the connector to the fuse box that had an open port that you could connect something to that had 30 amps of current, which was perfect for all of these installs. Usually 30 amps will be more than enough. It eliminates you having to run through the firewall. That's really the biggest thing for people, is getting wired through the firewall. So I was like, I found a solution. I just couldn't test it thoroughly enough to be confident that something wouldn't happen to your car. So messing with fuse boxes is really like not good, especially on your Acura. It has a built-in MICU, M-I-C-U. I don't remember what it stands for, but it does control some logic. So if I fry your fuse box because I told you to connect something where I shouldn't have, you are going to possibly be upset, get mad, and try to sue. And that's the last thing I want. I don't want to ruin your car, and I definitely don't want you to sue me. So I just never even spoke about it or released it, because I just couldn't thoroughly test that no one would have an issue. And yeah, I wish I could do it enough installations to tell you, like, if someone comes to my shop, we have insurance, so if I do it through there, it's no problem. But over the internet, there's no insurance. So if something happens to your car, you're on your own. You're gonna be tight. Like, replacing a fuse box is not cheap. So that was about factory integration. The reason I brought that up, factory integration. So if you don't care about factory integration, you're going to do second batteries, you're going to do a bigger alternator. It does not matter what amps you choose. You could just choose whatever amp gets the loudest for the cheapest, because all those amplifiers work on high amperage. So you saw the Audison only needed 55 amps to reach the whole, it was 120, no, one, I forgot what the power rating was at 2 ohms, but it only needs 55 amps of current. For your other amplifiers to put out those 3,000 watts, those 5,000 watts, it needs 300 amps, 150 amps, 200 amps. So you just need to put the power behind it to do it, and that's where you spend the money. So you don't spend the money on the amp that's relatively cheap. You spend the money on the power upgrades, because without the power upgrades, the amp you choose doesn't make the power that it's rated for. Oh, it's lagging? Oh no, why is it lagging? We recommend you use a bit rate. Yeah, sorry guys. I can't believe it's lagging like that. I don't know why it started lagging so bad. That's really annoying. Yeah, and that lag killed viewership. No, it still says good connection. You know what though? Good news is they started running fiber in front of my house. So hopefully that's something I can use. All right, this is a 5-channel amp. And that's a 4-channel amp. Let's do. I'm shipping that radio UPS. This is already have a ground label. All right, let's just do this 5-channel amp. That's very upsetting, guys. Oh, my wife is back. She might need my help. Yeah, it's still going low. How laggy is it? Yeah, it's still very crazy laggy. I hope so. I'm not sure. But all right, YouTube, I will have to figure out what's going on with my internet, because it's super laggy. Like, I can see playback and it's like super choppy. Like, let's try hand wave. Yeah, okay. All right. I will be back. Right now, Postman's about to come. I'm going to keep working. I'll start live streaming again once my internet